Your website is your front door, and it is essential that your website be as clean and crisp and as organized and succinct and accurate and correct as possible. When somebody is finding you for the first time, they are likely going to look at your website. They may find you through social media or through your ads, but for the majority of of consumers currently, they're going to reference your website. And as I mentioned early on, 75% of consumers prefer to be sold to and buy in their native language. So we know that. I also know firsthand the challenges of the economic resources necessary to localize and translate an entire website. And I know all too well how easy it is to utilize something like Google Translate. So you can just press a button and you get a website in your preferred language. Currently, as we sit in 2024, Google Translate is approximately 30% accurate in the world's leading languages, like Spanish or French. I'm going to say that again. It's approximately 30% accurate in the world's leading languages, like Spanish and French. If your content only needs to be 30% accurate, then something like Google Translate might work. I know for sure that when I'm buying something, I need to know with more than 30% surety of what I'm buying. I'm a savvy consumer, and I assume that most of you online are. And I know for sure that we need to know more than 30% about what we're buying. So while it might be tempting to take the easy way and the less expensive way and just turn on that Google Translate plugin, it's really not going to set you apart. And it certainly is not going to get you those global buys and those global consumers and that global influx of revenue and profit. If budget is a major constraint, there are a lot of creative things that a reputable language service provider can suggest. For example, maybe just one or two of your products really resonates with a global market. And so you start by localizing just the pages that refer to those specific products. Maybe you're selling a service and there's just a few landing pages that really demonstrate and really talk about what makes you unique and the services that you're providing. Maybe you can kind of boil that down into one, two, or three landing pages, and you can really condense that content down. That is another really great option. I think the other thing to remember is that working with a qualified, remember this, a qualified and a reputable language service partner, we can be your partners. We can help set up a strategy. We don't have to translate everything at the get-go. There's certain pieces that can be translated, and there's certain pieces of content that maybe will never need to be translated. But together, we're able to set that strategy and really prioritize your spending. I am a big believer in being honest and transparent with my clients, and I hope that my other colleagues in the language service industry have the same feeling. And if something doesn't make sense to translate, I hope that we would all tell our potential clients that it really doesn't make sense. But what I'm going to tell you is that AI and ChatGPT and some of the other assistive technologies maybe at some point are going to be able to really qualify translations, but at this point, they're not. We did spend a lot of time on this webinar talking about the idea of going global by going local and really taking on some of those local nuances and making sure that you include that in your content. That's a little bit of a step beyond translation, and that's really when we get into localization. Localization for me, and for those of you online that maybe don't know, is about taking that science plus magical approach to translation, right? So you've got the word for word sort of translation, then you sprinkle on this magic, and that's what really creates this beautifully localized content that looks and feels and sounds and resonate with the target market as if it was originally written in that language. That's really the difference between translation and localization.